Hello, welcome to Topper Machine. I'm Josh Topper. Today's job, we are going to tear into and try to fix the oil problem that I've been having on the Cincinnati horizontal. Now, the problem that's really going on is the coolant pump. I'm not getting enough fluid coming out. And what I really think is going on is there is a huge buildup of sludge down in there, actually plugging this thing up. So we're going to open it up, drain out the oil that's in there, because I run oil in this. And then we're going to flush it, and we're going to flush it really good with some mineral spirits. That seems to break down the sludge, and we'll just wash this thing the best we can. Now, in order to clean this out, we got to take this back cover off here, and this was part of the reason I designed the riser base the way I did, is because this was an absolute nightmare of a job. And you got to take these 4 bolts all the way out, and then knock the cover off, and it's going to make a mess. Well, that's good. There wasn't a whole lot left in there. I had actually tried to pump most of it out, and I'm going to have to go find a flashlight so you can see in there. But we'll kind of scrape it out a little bit before we start flushing it. Let's see what we got. Okay, so there's still quite a bit of oil in there, but the oil pump is on the left-hand side there. And we're going to have to find a way to get the rest of this oil out of there. Like I said, I did pump out a few gallons, and it took quite a while as it was, but we'll get the rest of this out and then start flushing her real good. All right, well, it's coming, but it's not going the greatest. I'm gonna actually tip the machine and let it run out that way. And thinking about it, there's so much sludge and nastiness in the bottom. Maybe I can get a bunch of that out before we dump in the mineral spirits to flush it, and we'll give that a try. All right, now I'm just going to use one of my chip hooks and just kind of reach in there and pull. That'll get a lot of this coming. See if I snag any chunks or anything. Oh, there's some chunks. It feels really grimy up in there. All right, it still looks really bad in there. There's a lot of metal chunks in there, you know, chips that got down in. So I'm gonna have to go ahead and just wipe this out. This is gonna be nasty. All right, now I'm just going to go ahead and pour this into a bucket for recycling. All my used oil goes to a recycle collection point. Whether they want it or not, well, there's some nasty chunks down in there. All right, we'll go ahead and put the cover back on, and then we'll pour some the mineral spirits in there and set her back down so she's flat on the floor, and run the pump and just try to cycle that through the system as much as possible. right, so I just pulled the strainer basket, and that thing's nasty. But then down in here, it's just a layer of like slime. So I'm gonna clean that out best I can with rags and hopefully get this a little better. All right, well, I wiped it out the best I could. Let's see, I missed a few things. There's a chip there. And got the strainer basket wiped out. Now I'll go ahead and start pouring in my, this is mineral spirits here, paint thinner. And I got 4 gallons. It's everything they had at my local store. If I need more, I'm gonna have to drive an hour one way to go get it. So I'll hope this is enough. And if not, well, then we'll continue the video when I go get more. All right, so I've been fighting with this jug for a minute now, and I can't get the stupid protective seal off, so we'll just do it the easy way. And we'll go ahead and do them all before we start pouring. Got to make everything difficult in this world. Well, looks like 4 gallons will be just enough. Let's start it up and run the coolant pump. All right, so I'm just gonna turn the valve on and let it run. And this is about what I was getting before. Let's see what happens when we start getting some of that thinner running through. There we go. Boy, that really got dark. And that's some good flow. So obviously there was some nasty sludge in the bottom there. And we're just gonna let this run. This will flow down into the screen back here. And this is the drain back to the sump. And we'll just let that flush out and run for maybe a half an hour. Thin this out, clean it out. Yeah, as I open the valve up, she's really coming. So let's say the pump is good. It was just not getting good fluid. So we had a little problem here. So the fluid flows in here and then it flows into this trough. Well, I overpowered it and started running out on the floor. So I'm gonna have to get that all cleaned up. I'll start with rags and soak it up. But I think we'll dial back the flow and just let her keep going. There's got to be a lot of crap down in the duct system there where it flows back. So we'll keep it going, but on a much slower rate while I clean this up. That looks like a good flow rate. Well, I got it all sopped up. It's definitely gonna need some floor dry on it, but it'll be fine. I threw the rags up here in the sump so they can drain out back into the mix. Look how dark that's getting. I mean, that's really gross. That's cleaning up nicely. I'd say give this thing at least a good hour of run time. I mean, just the color in here, and the color of the fluid coming out, it's definitely cleaning it out. Something this machine desperately needed. All right, so I managed to overflow it again. I'm just kicking the floor dry up on there now. But I think we're gonna have to take this cover off back here and try to get into the return ducting however it is. I know it's really almost impossible. I had to clean this out one other time years and years ago the best I could. So we're just going to try to do the best we can. So there is the passageway that oil has to go down, and yeah, it doesn't feel the greatest. So we'll go ahead and I wonder if I can get this hose down in there. Well, she's not quite long enough. I think this will work a lot better. I can just shove her right down in there, and then I can kind of watch the flow that way. It's definitely restricted somewhere, and I don't know how to get in there to clean that out. Maybe the other thing is that I'm pushing too much fluid through here. So I spent a little bit of time trying to chase where this oil galley goes, and I cannot find it. But there's definitely something blocking in there. Not 100%, but it's enough that it could be an issue later on. And I'm going to do some more investigation into it. But for now, I just got word that the next big order is coming within the next couple hours, the next big batch of parts. And I need this machine set up for squaring. I use it with fly cutters and the vise to square up blocks. And it's really alleviated my workload on the Bridgeport. So I'm going to finish just putting her together. We'll finish draining it, and we'll throw the new oil in it, which is actually going to be automatic transmission fluid, which is high detergent, so it should, in theory, eventually break up some of that stuff and flush it out. I decided to go that route just because I knew this would be extra nasty, and then we'll change out that fluid at a later date after running it for a while. So now I'm going to go ahead and use the coolant pump to just empty her out. Boy, that's coming out dark. That really did flush a lot of stuff out. Well, that's already a lot cleaner than it was, so we'll go ahead and wipe out that last little bit and then fill her up with oil and see if the pump works. Alright, so I got everything wiped up and cleaned up pretty good, and here is the automatic transmission fluid I said I was going to use. This has got a high detergent rate, so it should work to flush more stuff out over time. We'll probably change this. I'm going to be using it quite a bit, I think, moving forward here. This machine gets a lot of use. Whether it be with the carbide or with horizontal cutters, but it'll get used, and we'll change it out as soon as it starts to show a little more darkness, and change it to fresh, and then see where we're at. Probably get a couple changes using ATF so it flushes stuff out, and then we'll go to a good cutting oil. Well, that's 4 gallons. Let's see if she'll pump. Well, that's about double the flow I had before, maybe a little better. I'm guessing that pump is just wore out and weak in there from the years of neglect and before I even got it. So we're gonna let it run, let it work like this, see if it clears up. Definitely this ATF is gonna break some stuff down, and eventually it'll either start working or it'll just get worse. And at that point, then we'll install a secondary pump, something electric drive that's a little better quality. Just because tearing into this to get that pump out is going to be just a nightmare. So unfortunately we didn't fix it, made it a little better, got me a little more time. So with that, we'll end here. Until next time, get out in your shop and get it done right. All right, so I was truly going to leave it there, but it just started weighing on my mind. And I preach get it done right the first time. And so I went upstairs and I pulled the books and I went through everything. And I cannot find this oil passage anywhere. They don't talk about it. They don't nothing. So I started playing around and poking around. It's like the only place this oil can be coming or going is into here. And I took the bolts out and started wiggling on it. And sure enough, the ATF started flowing out of there, but it's not flowing down here, which is the passage to go back to the sump. So we're going to go ahead and get that apart, clean that out, and that should cure our problem. Now this thing's got a couple dowel pins in it, but this is actually the crossfeed screw here. And I got it wiggling. And I just got to get a screwdriver in there and just wiggle it out, which isn't going to be easy. But I had ATF running out of here. Nice red fluid just pouring out of here. So that's telling me somewhere in here is the blockage. So let's hope we can get in there, get this cover, there it goes, and figure out what's going on, what's plugged. Okay, so this is our oil passage right here. Let me grab a screwdriver and just look at that. That's not good. Sure, my arm blocking the light for you, but that's plugged up. Now, the question is it comes through here and it flows into this cover. Let me come around, let's just see what that looks like. I'm gonna guess that thing is equally plugged. Okay, so that passage goes through over here and it must come out somewhere back here, which I can't tell, but it is just plugged with this rusty looking whatever. But the real question is where is it actually plugged? I'm gonna have to find something to fish down in there and try to knock it out, because down inside here, let me get the light, is a groove, and you can just see some ATF flowing in there, so some got through, but that groove, it tracks back and that drains down into the sump. And that looks pretty nasty too. I'll get a rag and get in there, clean that out the best I can. And just clean this whole thing up. And hopefully we can get some flow through there. Position everything. I mean, that's filthy. That's our culprit right there. And that passage there. And I think once we get it opened up to where it flows a little bit, we'll actually get somewhere. All right, so I went and got myself a chunk of welding wire and bent it around. We're gonna see if I can't feed that through. Oh, wow. I just punched through a layer of something. It feels like a gob down in there. Once I think we get this opened up, we'll be in a lot better shape. And it'll get some flow through there. I think we're running that paint thinner, you know, the mineral spirits through there, broke some stuff loose and it just built a dam. and plugged it right up. And now that we get her opened up and get some flow through here, I think we'll be looking pretty good moving forward. All right, now it's time to get serious. I got the brake cleaner. This is pretty bad in here, so hopefully this will chew that out. And I'm seeing movement. I don't know if you guys can see this well, but down in there are a bunch of chunks that came out. So we'll go ahead and I'll just keep on cleaning that. But once we get that opened up, we should be in good shape. That's just the first reach in there with a rag to grab what came out, and there's a lot in there. So I'm pretty sure that's where our whole problem was. So right where I had it sitting, there's a big pile of crap. That's all what came out of here, so we'll just keep on cleaning. We'll get this thing emptied out yet. So just spraying that brake cleaner in there, I was watching chunks come out of that pipe. I don't know if you can see that, but that's one of the chunks right there. Big gobs. So that's definitely what's causing our problems here. All right, I got everything cleaned up about as best as it's gonna get. Now we'll go ahead and just put it back together. Looks like we'll have to run a bolt in and suck it in that way. All right, so we got that taken care of. Now I'm gonna go ahead and start it back up, get the oil flowing, and we'll see if it flows through or if it wants to overflow this trough again. You know what, just from it sitting earlier, it's got way more flow than it had before, so things are loosening up, I think. Now if we can see in there to that trough, it looks to me like that fluid is disappearing. It's not building up. All right, she's been running about an hour now, and the flow is really good. I mean, this is the best I've ever seen this machine. And if you look down in here in the galley, there is oil there. So it is flowing through. Everything's working. It's not backing up. So I'd say we got her now. So I'll get the cover back on here, get this closed up, and we'll finish up. Well, I don't think this thing has ever had oil flow that good. When I bought this, it had some flow, but not like this. This is incredible. And I'm hoping that with time running the ATF, that'll knock out some more stuff. We'll be able to monitor the oil condition just by the color. And when it starts to get dirty again, then I'll switch over and throw more paint thinner in, flush her out good, and do it again, put in ATF and just keep working that through, flushing and cleaning. Maybe it'll improve the flow eventually a little more over time, but as it is, it's definitely going to work now. So it definitely was something I needed to do. I'm glad I didn't just give up on it and move on. I was actually thinking about making an adapter for back here instead of finding the oil passage, but it was bothering me. It was really bothering me, so it needed to be fixed. So now with that, I've got a huge mess to clean up, and we're done with this. Ready to go back to work. So until next time, get out in your shop and get it done right the first time.